Lucas Gaylord, and the reason why we're here is because there's an upcoming tournament for the second anniversary of Speed Duels. So the 24th Speed Duel is gonna be 2 years old, and so to commemorate Speed Duels, we're going to host in Yugioh Legacy with Cursive. We're going to host a tournament for the Duels of Tomorrow format and Destiny Masters. So that's the starter deck format. I'll personally call it Duels of the format because that was the most relevant out of the two decks. But yeah, it's going to be the 28th of January, and it's going to be a Swiss rounds with top cut, 48 hours per round, and there's a free entry, there's a first place prize, and it's going to be $20. And so I'm going to leave the link in the description. So to join Yugioh Legacy, once you enter Yugioh Legacy, this is going to be the page. You go right here. You're going to see Cursive's post, and you're going to see the flyer. You send your list to Terra Master, and then you sign up on your own with this link. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to be explaining the format, a quick overview, so that you guys know what's up. So if you didn't know the format, you can play. And please, I'm going to ask you if you know players that would be interested in this format. If you know anyone who played this format back then and then stopped playing Speed Duels, or anyone who actually wants to try a retro format, please invite them, because I don't know how many times we're gonna keep doing this. So it would be cool if this got interest from the community. Anyways, so yeah, I'm going to be showing you the Cardpool, but first I want to clear up the side deck rule. There is no side deck. Alright? Why? Because at the time, Konami didn't release any rules regarding the side deck. So a lot of locals and a lot of tournaments played Speed Duels without side deck, while others play with a 5-card side deck. However, I'm going to base myself on the fact that on the YCS that the Nick played, there was no siding allowed, and so I would go with there was no side deck for this format. Anyways, that said, let's get to the Cardpool. So this is the Cardpool for the Duels of Tomorrow. You look at the cards, and then I'm going to explain what was the most important skill. And don't worry, I'm going to be posting these in the description so that you guys know and can read whatever cards you want to read. But anyways, so Dragon Color, the format revolves around this card, this skill, and even though Dragon Color is not the best deck, people will always play Dragon Color. There's a lot of Blue Eyes fans, there's a lot of people who think that this was the best deck, and there's always the people who don't want to play the best deck for some reason. So yeah, why does this card shape the format? Because if you can't beat a Blue Eyes, if you can't out a Blue Eyes easily, you shouldn't play that deck. So you have to keep in mind that there's a very few outs for just one Blue Eyes. So let's say Wild Tornado, which is situational, Time Waster, which is a coin flip. There's Amazon's Heirloom, which is actually good, a good out. There's Relinquish, which doesn't work under Roto D, also Wild Tornado. And so you're losing options, right? And Blue Eyes can also play Champion's Vigilance. So there's a lot of ways that you can lose to this deck. And so you have to think about this deck before you make a deck. Unless you make a meta call and you think that this isn't the best deck and people know it, so I won't see any Blue Eyes or any Dragon Color deck, so I'm going to play a deck that loses to Dragon Color but beats the other decks. That's fine, but that's a risk. Alright, so next off we have the other skill, which is Tribal Synergy. And now this is part of the best archetype in this format, which is Amazonas. And the reason Amazonas is so good is because it has an easy out to any monster, not just Blue Eyes, and it has really good cards like Amazonas Swordswoman, Amazonas Sage, Heirloom, and Village. So Tribal Synergy, what it does is that if you have an Amazonas and a Harpy in your hand, you can draw one card. If you have them on your field, you can draw two. You can do both effects the same turn, but not more than once per duel. And then Dragon Collar, what it does is that if you normal summon Lord of D, you add a flute. If you have a flute in your hand, you can add a Lord of D. That's all it does. And then this was the other deck, which was not the Duelists of Tomorrow, but the Destiny Masters. And so the only decent skills are Destiny Draw, which was kind of rogue, and then Millennium Eye, which was the meta skill, because people who played Amazonas would use this card, and what it does is that at the beginning of the duel, you look at their opening hand, and you can make them reshuffle, or you can make them keep the hand, and then you know what they have, so now you have information on their hand. So since it's a very generic skill, it can easily be played with Amazonas. So yeah, look at the card pool, and now we're going to be looking at, say, the generic cards of the format. Gearfried and Battleox are just the strongest beaters, so that's why I have them here. It's not that many people play them. 90% of the time, the generic card that you're gonna see is either Windstorm or Kunai. More than the others, you're gonna see Wild Tornado, because it's a good card against Amazonas, because it can destroy Heirloom, or it can destroy any card if it gets destroyed by your opponent's Sage. So it's a really good card against Amazonas, but not really great against decks that don't destroy back row. Sometimes Blue Eyes doesn't have to destroy the back row in order to win. So since there is no side deck, this card can be dead at times, so not many people play it, but it has a potential against the best deck, which is Amazonas. But yeah, next off we have Chart of Greed, and honestly, Chart of Greed, the card is good because drawing two cards in this kind of slow-paced format is possible, but the problem is that, especially in the Amazonas mirror match, the duel often ends in deck outs. So drawing into many cards can lose you the game, and because of this reason, Chart of Greed is not a very played card. And then Golden Apples it's a good card, but the problem is that if you go against Dragon Caller and they attack with a Blue Eyes, and you attempt to activate Apple but they chain Vigilance, Apples gets negated, but then because you took a lot of damage and you can't afford to take any other damage, now all the other apples that you have are dead because of a single Champion's Vigilance. So that's why the card is not played that much. Time Wizard is situational, or it's a gamble, so you have to be careful if you want to play it. Same goes for Dice Foon. There isn't much back row removal. Dice Foon is a very generic one, but it doesn't always work. So we have these cards, and yeah, Magic Jammer can be good against Amazonas because they rely on spells, otherwise they're just weak monsters. And then these two cards. Now, the important thing that I have to mention is that because this card is really common, and actually this card is more played than Kunai, because Kunai targets. So a Blue Eyes with a Lord of D is going to be immune to Kunai, but not to Windstorm. Also, Windstorm has the potential to stop more than one dragon, So because of that, Windstorm is better. But because you know that Windstorm is better, you have to play around Windstorm. So if you have 3 monsters and you predict a Windstorm, you shouldn't put all monsters into attack mode. You should put 1 or 2 in defense mode, so that if you get a Windstorm, at least 1 monster gets changed to attack mode and you can still keep attacking. Now you have to be careful, because if his back row was a kunai and you attack into kunai, it's going to be a problem, because you put your other monster to defense mode and then your only monster gets to defense mode, so you just basically stop your own battle phase. But yeah, kunai, aside from targeting, has a really good effect, because in this kind of slow paced Yu-Gi-Oh, where bigger monsters are harder to summon unless you're playing Dragon Color, this card can give you the advantage on the field by having the biggest monster. So that's why it's really good. And it's because of Heirloom, Village, and then Swordswoman. Now this was a standard deck, and I have to say that the skill, people play Destiny Draw or Millennium Eye. In my opinion, Millennium Eye is better than Destiny Draw for this build. But yeah, and there's the option to play Tribal Synergy. And Tribal Synergy, it lets you draw, it gives you access to draw power, so you can more easily draw your combos, but you have less Amazonas to fight with. Also, you don't have the cool trick of Millennium Eye. Now, this build uses Harpy Lady 1, and Harpy Lady 1 has the advantage because in these scenarios where, because this card has more attack than an Amazonas unboosted, this card could be good and could give pressure on its own, especially if you have more than one. But that only applies against Amazonas decks. If you place against a Dragon Color deck, this card is useless because it does nothing and it only lets you draw with the skill, and that's it. Because of that, there's the other option with Harpy Lady 3. And now Harpy Lady 3, it gives you the power to stall for 2 turns, which is great. And it's good for Amazonas, and it's also good against Dragon Color. So it stalls the game in order to give you more time to draw your combo pieces, while it lets you draw with the skill. And then the 4th Amazonas build is the Danik build that he won the YCS side event with. And here he played Time Wizard and Dice Foon, which are 2 gamble cards that are risky to play, but they give you access to a higher power, in the sense that a well-timed Time Wizard that resolves can win you the game. And if he calls it wrong, the only thing he lost was a -1 and a normal summon. But it's a scenario where if he got it right, he would have won the game. So, like, maybe it's worth it, maybe it's not, but it's a really good tech. And so yeah, Time Wizard and then Dice Foon, because again, Amazonas relies on back row, otherwise they're just weak monsters, and Dice Foon can destroy them. And it's not a 50-50. Amazonas just beats this deck, it's better, and that's the end of the story. But you could also play Magic Jammer to counter them, or you could play Champion's Vigilance. The problem with Vigilance is that it's not consistent when you will get the blue eyes, because you also play Tyrant Dragon. Now Tyrant Dragon is interesting because it's really good against Amazonas, because it gets 2 attacks, so it goes over Heirloom, and then you play Windstorm to change the battle position in case he has Swordswoman, so that you don't kill yourself in life points. But yeah, this is a 1 Dragon Color build. You can play Vigilance or whatever back row you want. The important thing is that you have to play at least 3 Lord of these, 2 Flutes, 3 Tyrant Dragons, 3 Blue Eyes, and 3 Windstorms. That's my recommendation. It has a good matchup against Amazonas. So if you make a meta call that everyone's gonna play Amazonas and that you're not gonna play against a Dragon Caller, then you could for sure play Harpy Lady and see where it gets you. It's not that consistent, that strong, but it still has Harpy's Hunting Ground, which can be really deadly against Amazonas, and it also gets to play Wild Tornado. So I don't know a build right now that's good. So, but I've seen people play Last Gamble, or I've seen people play other cards, even Tribal Synergy, by having 3 Amazonas and then the rest are Harpies. And then the other deck that you could play is Gravekeepers. I also don't have a build because I haven't seen one that doesn't suck. But basically, Gravekeeper Oracle gives you access to outing Dragon Caller because it decreases the attack. But if they play Champion's Vigilance, they can stop it. And if you play against Amazonas and they have a Swordswoman, you won't do the 2000 minus effect because that's gonna hurt you more than it's gonna hurt them. So because of that, and because there wasn't any good card for Gravekeepers, so because of that reason you shouldn't play the deck because it wasn't that good back then. But yeah, this is the introduction for the format, and I want to say that if you go here on Yugioh Legacy, this is a channel for playing rank for this format. So you just have to tag the role, and then people will want to play with you if they're available. And then when you lose, you just type exclamation. Jesus, sorry about that. Exclamation loss. Ellie Tinken, which hasn't happened, but you just do that and then it records the loss, and that's how you play ranked here. So if you're on Yugioh Legacy, be here on this channel and you can use this to practice, play ranked, and then get enough experience for the actual tournament. But yeah guys, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the tournament.